everyone, welcome back to my channel. I am the Sinister one, and thanks again for tuning in. I do want to mention some subscribers I forgot to mention in my last video. Griswold, he's an awesome YouTuber. I really enjoy his videos, check him out. And Dave Macias and Darren Crowder, thank you for subscribing. Really appreciate it, and everyone else, and keep spreading the word. Thank you very much. Now today I'll be doing a review on 1979 Dracula with Frank Langella, Laurence Olivier, and Donald Pleasence. This is a very underrated film. I really do appreciate this film. This film, nobody really talks about this Dracula film, and I think they did an awesome, amazing job. Directed by John Badham from Saturday Night Fever. So this was based off of a play that Frank Langella was in, and I mean, awesome performances here, especially with Frank Langella saying, you know, I want to do more of a romantic Dracula role. I want it to be gothic. I don't want it to be frightening. And you know, they nailed it with this one. And you know, I really appreciate Frank Langella, and I want to start collecting more of his films, because you know, he nailed this performance as Dracula. So that being said, you know, he told him over and over again, you know, when the special effects department came up to him and said, here's some fangs and we're going to put some blood on your face, and he denied it. He said no. He goes, I will not put those fangs in my mouth. I will not have blood all over my face. There's 40 other Dracula films out there. We're doing completely a different story here, and I'll have none of that. But the actresses, they put in that part of the aspect of the film. They wore the contacts, they did the makeup, they did the fangs, and I think that was awesome. And you know, he was more about his cape, and he worked a lot on his wardrobe, and he said, you know, if I don't have this look, then there's no movie. So he said that he gave wardrobe a hard time, you know, with the cape, a 1/4 inch up, a 1/4 inch down. It was constantly shipped back to New York and back to London, because they shot most of this film in London, and to get that historic feel to the film, and they used a lot of great, you know, camera work when it came to movie magic. I mean, the scenes in this film were very haunting and creepy, and they were concerned if it was gonna work or if it was gonna be made fun of, and everyone loved the camera work and movie magic. So there was some great scenes in here where I was even like, wow, you know, they really did a great job, and that is creepy, you know, especially with him crawling down the wall and opening the door upside down. I thought that was amazing, and that's where the fear is, and not in makeup. It's right there on the scenes and the camera work and the direction. So, and it was very romantic, and everyone used to come up to Frank Langella, and all the males would say, you know, my wife used to make great love to me after watching this film. So, you know, he gets a laugh out of that, and I thought that's pretty funny, you know. And a lot of critics, they go, you know, this movie was made for middle-aged women who wanted to see Frank Langella, you know, and it's just like, you know, this movie was, you know, made because they wanted to do a remake from, you know, 1930s Dracula. Bela Lugosi, you know, he refused the fangs as well. So I think they did a great job. And then of course, you know, Francis Ford Coppola, he remade this in the 90s with Gary Oldman as Dracula. So, you know, that movie is great too. And if you compare the two, you can tell the similarities in both films. It's a great watch. I mean, to watch both of these films and say, oh yeah, this scene and that scene, they're a little of the same. But honestly, you know, if you've never seen this movie, I highly recommend you go out and get it. And if you've seen it and you're not too fond of it, you know, give it a rewatch and revisit it, and I think you'll understand where I'm coming from and you'll appreciate it more. So, and then Donald Pleasence's character, where he wanted to play a different character in this film. He wanted to play Dr. Jack Seward, so he didn't want to play Professor Abraham Van Helsing, which gave him more screen time. But he said, you know, playing Van Helsing, it was similar to his role as Dr. Loomis in Halloween, and he didn't want to play that role. He wanted to play a different role. But the women came up to him and said, you know, they asked Frank Langella, you know, if he had shot a scene with Donald Pleasence yet, and he said no. And they warned him. They said, okay, be careful with Donald Pleasence, because, you know, he's a handkerchief actor. You know, he'll use props and food and pull out his handkerchief, blow a nose just to steal the scene, get more on-screen time, use more dialogue, you know, to where the editor has a hard time cutting his scenes. He doesn't want his scenes to be cut. So, you know, they said be careful when it's just you and him in front of the camera. And I thought that was funny, you know, because, you know, Donald Pleasence is a great actor and he's a favorite of mine, and, you know, just to be that diva, but he had it down to an art. So, you know, I appreciate that. I mean, you could see a lot of that in this film, and I thought that was pretty funny, you know. Awesome performance by Donald Pleasence. And Laurence Olivier, who, you know, is pretty old in this film, but he's from Spartacus with Kirk Douglas and Clash of the Titans. You know, he played Zeus in that role. And, you know, I really appreciated him in this role when he played Professor Abraham Van Helsing. He did an awesome performance. He had a double because of his age, and he was very ill, and they didn't think he was going to make it throughout the film, but turns out he made it 10 years after this film was made. But he had a skin disease, and he would bleed if, you know, you touched him a certain way, he would just start bleeding. So they said his double was, you know, looked just like him. You can get a close-up shot, and he was a very, you know, prideful actor, and he didn't want to use and rely on this double. But there were some scenes where he couldn't perform well, and you know, he would go to the director John and say, you know, we're just gonna have to use him, I'm sorry. And they could tell that really took a strike at his pride, but, you know, still great performance by him. He played Van Helsing hands down really well, you know. I also love Anthony Hopkins, who played Van Helsing. I think he did an excellent job. A real funny character that Anthony Hopkins played, but Laurence Olivier, he played a great Van Helsing. So, and you have three great actors in this film, you know, so top notch, and, you know, it was romantic and gothic, and I think, you know, I think this movie will come back and it'll be a hit. So, in the collectors of the genre, and I do appreciate this movie, and it's a good watch, so I highly recommend this movie. You know, I'm giving this movie right here 4 stars. So, Dracula 1979, Frank Langella, directed by John Badham. Excellent film. And on that note, I will be doing the beer of the week. Here I got Nimbus Red Ale Cerveza, brewed here in the city of my residence, and that is Tucson, Arizona. So I'm a big fan of red ale, so I'll give this one a shot. Salute to Dracula 1979. Yes, this is excellent. Nimbus Red Ale. You can never go wrong with the red beer. Again, I am the Sinister one. Thanks for subscribing, like, comment. I will be back. And definitely, if you don't already own this movie, Dracula 1979, go out and get it. Put it in your collection. Highly recommended. And I will be back next time with another review. Until then, stay scared.